The neon lights of the bar flickered against the humid Orlando night, casting a hazy glow over the parking lot, with a hum of Thursday evening traffic blended with the distant thump of bass from inside. It was March 20th, 2025, just after 8 p.m., and what should have been a routine night out was about to unravel into chaos. Bike Patrol officers Daniel Carter and Mike Reynolds pedaled up to the entrance, their tires crunching on gravel, summoned by a call about trouble brewing inside. They weren't expecting much. Bar calls were usually just loud drunks or petty arguments, but tonight, they'd get more than they bargained for. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of spilled beer and cheap cologne. The crowd was a mix of regulars and newcomers, some swaying to music, others hunched over their drinks. Marcia stood near the bar, her voice cutting through the noise like a jagged knife. She was in her late 20s, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, her eyes sharp with frustration. She clutched a half-empty glass, her knuckles white, and faced off with the bartender who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "I just bought a drink for $13 10 minutes ago." Marcia snapped, jabbing a finger at the receipt crumpled on the counter. "Now you're charging me 18? What's that about?" The bartender, a wiry guy named Greg with a faded tattoo peeking out from his sleeve, shrugged. "That's the price," he said flatly, swiping her card through the machine. "You already paid. Too late to complain now." Marcia's face twisted in disbelief. "Too late? You're kidding me. I want to talk to the manager or the owner. Someone who can explain this." Greg leaned forward, his voice low and smug. "I'm the owner, lady. Deal with it." That was a lie, and Marcia knew it. She'd been coming here off and on for months. The real owner was a stocky guy named Tony, who rarely showed his face after dark. "Bullshit," she shot back. "Give me the supervisor. Then, I'm not letting this slide." Greg's patience snapped. "Get your receipt and figure it out," he said, tossing a $20 bill across the counter, like it was an insult. Marcia stared at the cash, then at him. "I threw the receipt away, over there," she said, pointing vaguely toward the bar's edge. "You know you're wrong. That's why you're giving me money back." Greg didn't respond. Instead, he turned away, muttering something under his breath, and waved over a woman in a black polo shirt, Bella, the bar security lead. Bella was short but solid, her arms crossed as she strode up. "You need to leave," she said, her tone clipped. Marcia blinked, caught off guard. "Leave? I just got here. I paid for my drink. Look." She held up the glass, liquid sloshing over the rim. "He's the one overcharging me." Bella didn't budge. "Doesn't matter. You're done. Let's go." Marcia's voice climbed an octave. "Trespassing? How am I trespassing when I just bought something? This is crazy." Outside, Officers Carter and Reynolds dismounted their bikes, adjusting their helmets as the bar's bouncer waved them over. "Got a mess in there," he said, jerking a thumb toward the door. Woman arguing with staff, refusing to leave. And some guy skipped out on a tab earlier, left his ID behind. Carter sighed. Bar calls were always a gamble. Half the time, the complainant clammed up. The second, the police showed up. "All right," he said, "let's sort it out." They stepped inside just as Marcia's argument hit a boiling point. "I'm finishing my drink," she shouted at Bella, who grabbed her arm to steer her toward the exit. "Let go of me." Bella tightened her grip. "You've been asked to leave 4 times. Move or I'm calling backup." Marcia yanked her arm free, her drink splashing across the floor. "I'll leave when I call my beer. Give me a second." That second never came. Bella lunged, hooking Marcia's arm and twisting her down to the sticky hardwood with a thud that silenced the nearby crowd. Marcia hit the ground hard, her cheek pressed against the floor, her breath coming in sharp gasps. "What the hell?" she yelled, flailing as Bella pinned her. "She slammed me for no reason. Look at my legs." Her jeans were torn at the knee, a thin trickle of blood seeping through. The bar went quiet, all eyes on the scene as Carter and Reynolds pushed through the onlookers. "All right, break it up." Carter barked, his voice cutting through the tension. Bella stepped back, brushing her hands on her pants. "She wouldn't leave," she said, nodding toward Marcia. "Kept arguing, getting loud. I had to get her out." Marcia scrambled to her knees, her face flushed with fury. "She assaulted me," she cried, pointing at Bella. "I didn't do anything. I was leaving, I swear." Reynolds crouched beside her, his tone calm but firm. "Ma'am, stop moving your hands, please. We need you to relax." Marcia's eyes darted between the officers, her voice shaking. "Relax? You see what she did? I didn't deserve this. My baby's at home. I need my phone." She reached for her pocket, but Carter intercepted, pulling the phone from her grasp. "You'll get it back," he said. "We're taking it for now. You can call when we get you sorted." "Sorted?" Marcia's voice cracked. "Why am I even being detained? I didn't do anything wrong." Carter straightened up, his patience thinning. "You're being detained because you're not cooperating. We're figuring this out. Calm down." But Marcia couldn't calm down. She twisted against Reynolds' grip, her words tumbling out in a frantic rush. "I asked about the drink price. That's it." She slammed me for no reason. "I've got money. I'm not stealing anything." Bella stepped forward, her voice steady as she recounted her story to Carter. She was cursing me out, getting aggressive. I asked her to leave 3 or 4 times. She refused, so I took her down. "That's it." Carter nodded, jotting notes on his pad, while Reynolds kept Marcia steady. "I just wanted a supervisor." Marcia protested. "He overcharged me, gave me $20 back because he knew he was wrong. Then she attacked me." The officers exchanged a glance. Bar fights over prices weren't new, but this one had layers. Greg, the bartender, chimed in from behind the counter. "She's been a problem before," he said, wiping the glass like nothing had happened. "Came in a couple weeks ago, walked out on a $75 tab, left her ID and card, still got him in the office." Marcia's head snapped up. "That's a lie. I just got here last night and paid for my drink. Check the receipt." Carter raised a hand to quiet her. "Well, check it out," he said, turning to Greg. "You got proof of that prior tab?" Greg nodded. "Yeah, I'm writing a statement now. Her stuff's locked up. I can grab it after this." Marcia shook her head, her voice rising again. "This is insane. I'm not a thief. I've got money. Why am I going to jail?" Reynolds sighed. "You're not helping yourself, ma'am. Stop fighting us." But fighting was all Marcia had left. As they guided her toward the door, she pulled against their hold, her sneakers squeaking on the floor. "I need to call my lawyer," she demanded. "Nobody's telling me why she slammed me. Look at my legs, look." Carter kept his grip firm. "You'll get your call at the station. Right now you're coming with us." Marcia's eyes widened. "The station? For what? Trespassing? I bought a drink 10 minutes ago. How's that trespassing?" Outside, the night air hit her like a slap, cooling the sweat on her brow, but doing nothing for her anger. The officers steered her toward a patrol car, pulling up to replace their bikes, its red and blue lights painting the lot with eerie streaks. "I'm not all right," Marcia shouted as they opened the door. "You see what they did? I don't deserve this. I just asked a question." Carter's voice stayed level. "Step down, take a seat. We're done here." Marcia slumped into the back seat, her hands cupped behind her, her breath ragged. "I need to call my husband," she said, softer now, desperation creeping in. "Please, I didn't do anything." Reynolds slid into the driver's seat, glancing back at her. "You'll get your chance at jail. Right now, you're charged with trespassing after a warning and resisting us. That's why you're here." "Trespassing." Marcia's voice broke. "Because I asked why a drink costs more? This is why I'm going to jail." Carter climbed in beside Reynolds, his expression unreadable. "You were told to leave and didn't. Then you pushed an officer. That's how it works." Marcia shook her head, tears welling up. "I'm black. So this is typical, right? Y'all don't even care what happened." The car rolled out a lot, leaving the bar's chaos behind. Inside, Greg finished his statement, handing over the ID and credit card from Marcia's alleged past visit. "She's trouble," he muttered to Bella, who nodded, kept cursing, wouldn't leave. Had to do it. Meanwhile, the officers pieced together another puzzle, a guy who'd skipped out on a $75 tab earlier that night. He'd left his stuff too, ID, card, the works, but when Carter tracked him down outside, the guy played dumb. "I just got here," he said, hands in his pockets. Greg didn't press charges, just banned him for good. Lucky break. Carter told him, letting him walk. Marcia wasn't so lucky. At the station, she sat in a holding cell, her wrists sore from the cuffs, her mind racing. She'd gone from sipping a drink to staring at concrete walls, all over a $5 dispute that spiraled out of control. The charges, trespassing after warning and resisting officers without violence, hung over her like a storm cloud. She'd get her calls soon, maybe from her husband or a lawyer, but for now, she was stuck, back at the bar. The music picked up again, the crowd moving on like nothing had happened. For the officers, it was just another night, messy, loud, and unpredictable. Carter would later tell his partner, "Bar calls are a circus. You never know who's going to swing." Marcia, though, saw it differently. To her, it was an injustice, a night stolen by a bartender's ego and security guard's heavy hand. Whether the courts would agree was another story, one that'd play out far from the neon glow of that Orlando bar.